Welcome back to the Nintendo Rewind. My name is Cody Christian, and I am joined by my co-host Josh Taylor, and we are rewinding and recapping last week for Nintendo. But before we do any of that, before we dive into the topics for today, Josh, how is it going? Also, I need to get the predictions started for the people so that way they can start guessing the Histo Wii U. How are you doing, my good sir?
Oh yeah, not too bad. Just trying to get through this week. Got more exciting stuff coming next week, but unfortunately I won't be here. But yeah, not doing too bad.
Well,
how was it on your end?
I mean, well, hold on now. I'm not done putting in the History U. Tell the people more about your week. What did you end up doing? Did you have anything fun or good go on, or was it just awful?
It was awful. No, no. In the last week, like we had my birthday. If you can see this here, got this new tabletop game that I don't really know what I'm doing with, but I've been trying desperately to learn. It's pretty cool. I love how it translates the Sonic formula to this board game. Yeah, I just need somebody to play it with and figure it out with. It seems to take a long time to get through, but it is really cool. I definitely want to learn it.
I saw you were playing that with Danielle or something like that, I would assume, right?
Me and a friend. Yeah.
Oh, okay, I see.
And I've tried it by myself a little bit.
Have you made it to open up? Because you posted on Twitter, like the do not open this until end of game or something like that. Have you opened it yet?
I have not made it that far.
Dude, I love things with secrets like that.
It's really cool.
I bought this puzzle. It was, I forget what puzzle company it was that did them, but there was this puzzle that I couldn't open it until I put the puzzle together, and then it opened up to more puzzle. I was like, what the heck? That's such a cool little thing.
I accidentally saw some of what's in this online, but not all of it, thank goodness. Yeah,
Dude,
it's got this little, it's sealed. You gotta like collect everything and beat it like a campaign before you can unlock the rest of this stuff.
That is sick.
I just thought that was really cool.
That is sick. Yo mama knows you well. Yo mama knows you well. That is a good thing. And you've got some cool stuff getting ready to come up too, don't you? You've got a Disney trip starting when?
Yeah, I grew up going to Disney World a lot, on and off throughout the years. We've been as a family and everything. But yeah, next week I will be in California for my first time ever. Going to Disneyland for 2 days. I don't know if you all are familiar with the parks, but going to Disney California Adventure, DCA, 2 days as well there, which is part of Disney. And along with some other stuff, I'll also be at Universal Hollywood, which of course includes the Nintendo World there. The smallest version of it, but it's still there.
Absolutely. No, it'll be good. You're going to the Nintendo World too, right? While you're there?
Oh yeah.
Okay, I was making sure. I was like, you can't get that close and not go to Nintendo World. Like, there's
no. That's in there. It's in Universal.
Oh,
Definitely
man. Listen, think of me. I know I've asked you multiple times, but think of me. I will send you the money for just a small little thingy. Small thing. Not something big, because you've got to pack it back on the airplane. I'm assuming you're airplaning, right? Like, you're not going on a car. Okay, goodness.
There's some cool stuff. I like pins, and there's definitely some cool pins there.
Just
I think I'm good.
Surprise me. You know my likes. You know my loves. So surprise me. Surprise me. But, it'd be really, really good. Honestly, I'm super jealous. I want to go someday, and I think we're holding off for the Florida one. You put in some time doing the double job and everything, so
a lot.
But that being said, anything else you want to share before I start getting into my week?
Not really right now. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, wait. Do you hear something? I think I hear something.
I think so.
It sounds like someone who wants to be the very best in the background. Hang on, what is that?
Who's that Pokemon? It's Super Nintendo!
I'd like to introduce the absolute very best, our new voice on the show, becoming a permanent fixture here at Nintendo Rewind, and it is Super Nintendad, aka Chris Becker, aka the Cheetos King, aka the Snack Master, aka just a beauty incarnate. Super Nintendad, I want to thank him so much for joining us here as a permanent fixture at Nintendo Rewind. But obviously, I want you to introduce yourself to the people. Tell the people who you are. Tell them what you're about. And then tell us about your week, my dude.
Hi.
Hi. Hello. How are you?
No, yeah, I am good. Thanks for having me. Now I'm choking. But yeah, I'm Chris, Super Nintendo Dad. I like Nintendo, it turns out. I really just like video games. If there's a game I haven't played but I could play it, I will try it. So yeah, that's good. Also, it helps that Nintendo makes really good games. But yeah, I really like Nintendo games. One of my favorite games, I would say probably my favorite game of all time is a Nintendo DS game. So there's that.
That's Ghost Trick Phantom Detective, correct?
No, it is Elite Beat Agents.
I was close.
Yeah. Yep, and I'm ready to talk Nintendo, but only for the last week.
Absolutely, because we're rewinding and recapping last week. So, yeah, absolutely. Chris, I'm so thankful that you've joined us as a permanent fixture here on the show. It'll be good because there have been weeks that I've missed. There have been weeks that Josh has missed. It's going to make it a little bit easier to keep content going and not have to do solo shows. But thank you so much for being a part of it. And if you guys aren't already following Super Nintendo Dad over on Twitch, please make sure you follow him. You can hit up his link tree over at linktree.ee/Super Nintendo Dad and see all the places to be able to connect with him as well. But no, it is a super good thing to have you here on the show as a permanent fixture. As far as my week last week, we had a birthday party for my youngest. I had GDQ going on. I got to watch a lot of really cool speed runs. My sister came and visited for a long time. She was here from like Thursday to Monday morning. So it was cool to be able to visit with her. I got a pet hedgehog. I think I already mentioned that last week. I'm not going to bring that on the stream right now. But it was a good week otherwise. I'm keeping my head above water. I'm doing my best here. So, that being said, I do want to kind of tease you into Hist-Wii U results at the end of intro. The question was on July 6th, 2009. 2009. There it goes. It's scrolling across the screen really slowly. In Nintendo history, the 100th WiiWare game released. What was it? And the options were A, Bust-A-Move Plus, B, Ant Nation, C, Bit.Trip Core. And the results, as chat voted, it was a 50-50 split between Bust-A-Move and Ant Nation. The actual answer for this game was Bit.Trip. My apologies, no more dots. Bit.Trip Core. So that was the 100th WiiWare title to get launched July 6th, 2009. So without any further ado, we're going to dive into my Nintendo news after this short jump. Josh? Tell the people about the things, my good sir.
All right, so the beginning of the things. We have a... did we talk about this one? We have another sweepstakes here.
This is the same one. This is just a reminder.
Yes. It is the My Nintendo Luigi's Mansion 2 HD sweepstakes. Of course, it is the 10 platinum points per entry, max of 3. As you can see, all the good stuff there. Plushies. The luggage is probably the most interesting thing. Kind of completely random, but okay. It'd be kind of cool to have. There's no new physical rewards. There's a few things fairly interesting up there. The NSO icons for this week is the Luigi's Mansion 2 HD icons. Wave 2 will be available until tomorrow on July the 10th. There is still the Play and Redeem Super Mario Brothers. The Lost Levels icons are available until August the 5th. Even though that game's not the greatest, the icons are pretty neat. There's some different ones there. Still not Donkey Kong Country, but we'll get there one year. And then, of course, there is the Play and Redeem Super Mario-related icons that have been going on for quite a while now. It seems to be sort of a permanent fixture, though they sort of swap them around and change things out. They are available until July the 15th. And, you can see some of those up there.
Really like the Super Mario Odyssey, starry-eyed, whatever those skull creatures are from Tostarena. Yeah. Like it looks, these are some cooler ones. Every now and again, like you'll get a standout there. Upside down space floating toad. That's funny. Sure. And then Fire Peach, of course, best Peach in my opinion. I like the white and red combo. But yeah, it'll be cool. Chris, what you feeling?
Good Yoshi there.
Here's what I'm feeling. I'm feeling, what's up with this Luigi's Mansion slander? on the podcast, because now I'm not just sitting in the chat anymore. Now here I am, wanting to know what. Next thing you know, you're gonna say like Donkey Kong 64. You know,
But I do like Donkey Kong 64.
I like Donkey Kong 64. Yeah,
Oh gosh.
I was
Well,
just
you
in
know,
that one.
I'm
Luigi's
sorry.
Mansion 2.
I'm sorry. Come and get us.
Luigi's Mansion 2 has fantastic 3D. Luigi's Mansion 2 HD lost all the 3D, but it's still a fun game.
All
It
right,
is.
You know what? Let me ask you though, okay? If you had your pick, because here's the thing, we can all acknowledge that even the worst Nintendo games are still great Nintendo games. But if you're gonna rank your Luigi's Mansion, what are you ranking them? 1, 2, and 3. Where do you rank them? And don't factor in the 3DS versions. Don't factor that in. Where are you ranking them?
3, 2, 1.
3, 2, 1.
Ooh,
That is a take.
Interesting.
I like 3 a lot, and 3 is my favorite. But I would have went 3, 1, 2, and it's okay to be wrong.
Yeah, I know, which is fine with your pick
Oh my
being
God.
completely wrong. Yeah. It's 3, 2, 1. 2, I know some people didn't like how it had the different mansions being the different, like, the desert and the biomes.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, it was really good. I liked the, how they have them in the, like, broken up, which it's not as fun if you're playing it, I guess, docked on a system, even though the Switch is a handheld system. It is a, that's another thing we can talk about. But the, it's much more broken up, where if you're not playing in handheld, you might notice it more, how it's broken up and segmented into smaller bite-sized portions.
Okay, so it lends itself a little bit more to the Nintendo Switch style of gameplay, where like Super Mario Odyssey, you're getting rewarded all the time with all the moons that you can find everywhere. And that was a big complaint from a lot of people, is they wanted more targeted challenges rather than just kind of, I
Yeah.
stumbled into a moon. So like Luigi's Mansion 2 HD kind of lends itself to that.
Yeah. Yeah. And so what, you're saying you like, what's your list?
And mine was 3, 1, 2. And it's unequivocally the best list. I'm sorry, you can be wrong, but like mine is 3, 1, 2. 3 is
Absolutely.
beautiful. They did so much with it that is that it actually looks better than 90% of the games on the Nintendo Switch. Even first party games. Like I would argue it looks better than a lot of the first party games that Nintendo has put out on the Nintendo Switch. But gameplay, beauty, music, the challenge of the Scare Scraper mode that they have in that one and everything else, all that aside, one is a much more concise, like in the box, like entertaining experience that I think it lends itself well to not being too distracted with everything else going on that is going on in Luigi's Mansion 2 HD. But you know what? It's been a long time since I played Luigi's Mansion 2 HD. It's been a long time. And you can come visit me on my Twitch channel tomorrow night and find out if I'm wrong or right. I'll tell the people whether or not I'm wrong or right. I'll shout out Super Nintendo and be like, shout outs to Super Nintendo.
Shout me out. Yeah, exactly. Shout me out.
Be like,
And,
"I'm wrong."
Luigi's Mansion 1 does have something, and that is being the worst Nintendo launch title. And go ahead, just say what you want to say. I can hear the groans.
These are some
you
hot
don't think-
takes. What the
I
heck?
think I can't hear.
I don't know. Did you see the 3DS launch?
Yeah, I did.
I mean, people did want Mario and not Luigi. Instead, you got Green Mario out there on launch day. But holy cow!
Everyone, just think back to the GameCube controls with the tank controls of Luigi's Mansion at launch, when just a few weeks later you got at least you got Smash Brothers. But
fair.
The 3DS at least had cats and dogs at launch, and Steel Diver. Shout out to Steel Diver.
Shout out Still Diver. But it did unlock a lot of stuff on the 3DS. Still Diver did. So
Yeah. Sure.
Oh man. Nettist in the live chat says Luigi's Mansion is categorically better than any 3D Mario, and man, that is another hot take that I don't know that I necessarily agree with. I like Luigi's Mansion, but I like 3D Mario's a little bit better, I think. So shout outs Nettist. But before we get too deep in on the icons and the Luigi's Mansion slander, game trials and demos worth checking out. Josh, what do we got on the docket?
Yeah, so this one's the most important one we have ever had, to be honest. This is Mario and Rabbids Sparks of Hope. You can play it for free if for some odd reason you don't own it yet. From July the 7th to July the 14th. So that started 2 days ago. So if you don't already have it, you better get on there and get it.
If you're watching this, Josh is going to come and show up. If you haven't installed it, he's going to show up and hijack your credit card and install it to your system like immediately.
You can buy the game for 67% off. Get your 100 platinum points just for playing it. Yeah, there's all kinds of good DLC. They brought Rayman back. There's just no good reason. I'm just gonna be honest with you. Yeah. You should go give it a shot. Not all of us could go try it before it came out. So
not all of us is a favorite of Ubisoft. Oh
no,
man,
go give it a go, please.
Absolutely, get your 100 platinum points just for playing it too. So
that's even if you already own it too.
Yep.
You get those 100.
Just for booting it up and playing it right now. It is a ongoing mission that is happening. So
yeah, there we go. That is pretty much it for the digital and physical rewards, which there wasn't any physical. That's it for the digital rewards.
All right. What events we got going on, my good sir? You just gonna forget about those? You done? He's like,
yeah, I think I'm done.
All right, well, coming soon. Special Terror Raid.
The first one is Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, the Terror Raid battles. Special Terror Raid battle right now in Mass Outbreaks. You can face a mighty Pikachu July the 11th through July the 25th. Mass Outbreaks of Pichu, Pikachu, Mimikyu, Raichu, and Alolan Raichu. Which Raichu is kind of underrated compared to Pokemon, or compared to Pokemon, compared to Pikachu. So, I'm glad he's in there.
Better trash mouse than Pikachu for sure.
Face a mighty Dodongo, which still makes me want to say Dodongo. July the 25th through July the 8th, through August the 8th. Mass Outbreaks of Curly. Did I read that right? Curly form, Drippy form, and Stretchy form. Tatsugiri.
Yes, there you go. You got it.
And there is also a chest form of Gimmighoul in 1 to 5 star raid battles, August 8th to the 22nd. That's a pretty cool one. Just if you don't have the evolution of that, I can't think of the name of it. It looks like a piece of cheese or something, like a string cheese. Mass Outbreaks of Whatcherwild. I can't say these names, even though I've got the full Pokédex in Scarlet.
You don't need to say them, you just need to catch them.
I don't say them all out, I just read them. You can face a mighty Dragonite on August the 22nd through September the 1st. That's another really cool one. Mass Outbreaks of Larvitar, Bagoon, Goomy, oh my gosh, Hisuian, Silgu, and Beldum.
Thank you, Nolan. It is Golden Go. Golden Go.
There we go. He looks like a 90s mascot for a commercial or something.
He does. He looks like cereal.
Something.
A cereal mascot. Like, I would say that. Yeah, definitely.
Now, the Splatoon 3 Splatfest that is coming next is July the 12th through the 14th, so I got to squeeze that in Friday before I leave. What would you rather reserve for a day, the Palace theme park or a beach? I think I feel like I have to, especially considering where I'm leaving literally during the podcast. I'm going to have to go to the theme park. And I believe we're all sort of on the same boat. It kind of makes the most sense. That'll be the most entertaining thing to do.
Oh, yeah.
To reserve.
I mean, here's the thing. Who has ever lined up for the beach? Like, who's lining up for the beach? Yes, there are definitely lines for the Palace occasionally, depending on the Palace.
Sure.
But, like, the whole theme park experience is lines. And that's where I stand with it, is like, get rid of the lines. But, Super Nintendo, he's the new face on the show. Chris, what are you going with during this Splatfest, my good sir?
The theme park, the Palace, I'll get lost. The beach will burn my feet. The theme park will be enjoyable. So definitely the theme park.
Absolutely. The beach will burn my feet. Oh man. And then we've got one more event that's going on during F-Zero
Yes,
that I
there
know
is one
nothing
more.
about.
I got to play this a little bit. I really like F-Zero anyway, and this game's pretty cool. Not a huge online person, but this one's been fun. So this one, there's actually a list of things. I'm trying to pull it back up here. There's a pretty decent size update because they have actually, what's the word? I guess supported this game a decent amount since it came out for being free. I'm going to go just through their bullet points real quick without full details. There are star arrivals. Some of the 4 main characters there will pop up in certain events, and you can get like little icons for your profile. Festival tracks, so special ones for. That doesn't say this, but it's sort of like July the 4th stuff because there's fireworks everywhere. There's special things to collect. There's an expanded team battle, so there's more to do there. There's new achievements to earn. There are a few weekend events coming up, and there are new emotes that you can sort of do before the race starts. Nothing too crazy, but it's enough altogether that it's just nice to see them continuously support that and still get some good fun out of it.
Absolutely.
Gives you a good excuse to return if you haven't been there in a while. So,
Absolutely.
yeah. That is it for the events. It's not too bad of a week, honestly, for this. Yeah, there you go.
And then we got another thing that is going on that is sales that I don't have a thing that jumps us to just yet. I will have some new transitions for that, but there is the Recollection Collection sale that's available right now.
Stuff here too.
It's going from the 3rd to the 14th, so that has been active since the day before July 4th. And they say save up to 50% on select games, but first off, the very first thing on here, that's a lie, because you can get Sonic Mania and the Encore DLC, both of those 60% off. I mean, you can spend less than $10 on probably the best Sonic game that is released in the last 20 years.
It's really good. My wife's watching. I've spent way too many hours on this game.
Gets quiet.
Yeah, it's good. Hogwarts there is good. If that's what I'm seeing, it's really small on my screen.
Yep.
Shredder's Revenge is great. There's a lot of good stuff on here.
Ace Attorney Anthology. I was in. Speaking of spending way too much money, I was in Super Nintendo Chris's stream this morning, and he was playing Zenless Zone Zero, and then he asked me if I've spent any money in the store, and all I responded with was Then he says, "Don't worry, we'll talk about it later." He tried to out me. What are you doing, Chris? But no, Dave the Diver on there, 30% off. No More Heroes. The very first one's 50% off. That's such a good game. I love that one probably more than the following 2. But Cuphead, Don't Deal with the Devil, also 28% off. I mean, there's a lot of really, really cool stuff that's on here, and you can view that over on the Nintendo Store page. So, without any further ado, though, we got to get into our main topic, and our main topic tonight is Nindies, the best of the best. So hang tight. Welcome to our main topic. We've got Chris Becker again joining us as the new co-host for the show going forward, alongside of Whopper 744 Games, aka Josh Taylor, the face you all know and love, and then myself, the poop face named Cody Christian. But tonight we're going to be talking about Nindies, and we're going to be talking about the best of the best. And that doesn't necessarily mean that they're everyone's best. The good news about a Nindie is that Nindies are created differently. They aren't AAA gaming experiences where they follow all of the same rules and stuff that every AAA game follows. They can experiment. They can do something different. They can be explorative. They can be emotional. Games as art. But we wanted to talk about our own personal top 3. We haven't discussed any of our selections with each other at all. So I am curious to know whether or not we're going to line up. But I don't want to start this topic off tonight. So we're going to have Chris, who's our new face on the show. He's going to kick us off with the first one. Then we'll go Josh, and then we'll go me for our number 3 picks. So go for it, Chris. What's your number 3 pick, my good sir, and why?
My number 3 pick?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So there, I had about 400, and then I whittled it down to 3. That's not true. I just picked 3 that I really like. What I will say, I'm going to pick one that was close to the launch, and it is a game that I still go back to this day, and it was a game called Tumbleseed.
Oh, I forgot about Tumbleseed.
And it was like one of the first games that was like from like an indie developer that I think made real good use of the HD Rumble. where it was like, you got to like move this little seed, and you have to like move the planks on the left and the right using the shoulder buttons, and it kind of like moves up, and you're going on an adventure. It's a roguelike game, and then if you die, go through one of the holes, you end up going back to the beginning. But I really like the art style. I like the way it looks. I like the way it feels with the controls, and how it feels with the rumble as well.
That's awesome.
Based on Ice Cold Beer, which is like a physical arcade game.
That is so cool. I need to go back and check that one out. I know I have that one in my library, but it's been literal years since I've even touched it. But Tumbleseed, and it came out at a good time when there was like it was before Nintendo was putting out the commercials that said, "We have games," because there wasn't that much on there at the time. So, but I need to give Tumbleseed another try. I think that's a worthy number 3 pick. I think that's a phenomenal number 3 pick. Josh, what's your number 3, my good sir?
All right. I'm going to first, real quick, I just want to hit a few that I really wanted to add, but I couldn't for one reason or another. So I'm not going to talk about them a whole lot. I'll go ahead and add one rule I gave myself. I can't add more than one from a series, so don't overthink this too much. I'll say one, no particular order, Cuphead, mostly for their art style. Love that game. It's a little maybe too hard for its own good at times, but I still really love it. I can't ask for better art than that game. Undertale, I actually like. I know that kind of it's hit or miss for people, but I really like a lot of aspects of it. The first ukulele game, I love for a multitude of reasons. I know it didn't live up to all the hype, some of us old school Banjo-Kazooie fans wanted, but I still love it. I love that remake.
I'm surprised that one didn't make your list. I'm just going to be completely honest.
We'll get there.
Okay.
We'll get there. So the other two here I'm going to say, because I know there's more than this. I can't think of them all right now. But I mentioned Goose Game just because that was really fun. And we've had some fun with that on co-op. Or there is co-op on that one now, I think. And one I'm playing right now currently is Sea of Stars. And it seems pretty cool so far. So I thought I'd just shout that one out. However, my number 3 is going to be Hades. So I got that one a little while back, the physical copy with the art book and all that stuff. And it's not really a genre of game I play a whole lot. I guess, how do you say it, roguelike or whatever. So it's kind of like one of those games, but it's just, I don't even know how to describe it. You need to kind of check it out to really experience it. The artwork in it's super cool, but the gameplay loop itself, I just think works really well. It sort of gets like more difficult as you go, but you can continuously get those new upgrades and things that are permanent, or the temporary ones you can go through with different specials each time, whatever they call it in that. You kind of learn your favorites after you play through enough times. So it was just really cool how they handled that. The story was cool. If you haven't heard the soundtrack, there's some really awesome songs in there. If you haven't heard the music that plays when you fight Hades, like the first part of that boss fight, you need to look it up like as soon as possible, because that track is awesome. And the credits, like if you go through it like 10 times, I don't want to spoil it, but there's like, a real ending. That one's really sick too. But no, there's just a lot to love about that game. I had to stick it on here somewhere, so I went ahead and put it on number 3 for now. So there you go.
I think it's a good take as well. I would 100% agree with that take. I also dig that game. I played that as a grind like nobody's business when it first came out. Second one's really good as well. I will say second one's really good. It's not made it out to Switch just yet, so it is only still in beta mode or alpha mode or whatever it's called. But I think Hades deserves a spot on the list. And in all honesty, it's inspired a lot of other games that are very much. I mean, if you look at Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Splintered Fates, that's getting ready to come out on Nintendo Switch. That is pretty much a light Hades like. Like it is basically Hades. But no, I dig Hades. I dig it. So I had to think long and hard as well, because I played a lot of indies on my Nintendo Switch. Stuff like Animal Well, being recent ones. Stuff like Baba Is You being older ones. And I tried to think back to some of my favorite experiences that I had with indies on this platform. And I really came to my number 3, and it's not exclusive to Nintendo Switch. Most of these are not. They have to come out on other platforms for these small studios to be able to make some money. You know what I mean? But this one is an indie that pre-exists the Nintendo Switch by a good amount, but it was one of the first indies that I'd played on the Switch, and that was Cave Story Plus. I love Cave Story Plus. The thing is, that game, you play as oh, there goes Josh. His camera is down. Are you still with us, Josh?
Am I here? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can still hear you. So his camera is down.
Just watch me go dark.
You just went away for a moment. You'll be back. He'll be back. It'll all be okay. And if you don't get back, oh yeah, you're back.
There I am.
Okay.
Go on.
But the thing that I love about it is the way that the platforming action really, really hits home, and the writing is hilarious. You play as Quote, who is a little gunner character with a scarf and a hat. He is trying to stop a mad doctor and learn the truth about his past because he has forgotten everything about who he is. The monster in
Shadow
enemy
the
design.
Hedgehog, or...
No,
Never mind,
get out of here. But the thing about this game is that you do get progressive power-ups. It's a little bit Metroidvania-esque in some ways. And I just love the story that they tell. On top of that, you've got multiple endings that you end up getting in this game, depending on how you make decisions, kind of leading into the end portion of the game. And there are some alternate modes that they've included in the Nintendo Switch version. As far as that goes, it is an upgraded version of the original Cave Story. And if you don't have a Nintendo Switch, which we've talked about this on this show before, why are you watching us? We're trying to keep you up on Nintendo Switch news, but it is available obviously on PC. If you have a 3DS, that was one of the first places that I ever had the chance to experience it. There's Cave Story 3D on there, and it's a really interesting take on the game, but Cave Story, with its emotional story and the way that I got tied into it, and the music and the visual art style that's very 8-bit NES era inspired, but obviously with some heavy upgrades. Phenomenal game. Heavily recommended to anybody. Please pick this game up. And it's right now, I think it's like $29.99 on Nintendo Switch, but it goes on sale often. So that is my number 3 pick.
Well, not a bad number 3 pick. I remember playing Cave Story when it came out, like on WiiWare, because back then, like, they didn't have as many games, so pretty much any game that came out on WiiWare, I was getting and playing. Or back on the Wii, shout out to them, they had the system where you could gift games to people on your friends list, and yeah, that was fun. But I was gonna pick Hades, but I figured somebody would pick it if. Otherwise, I just wouldn't be able to be on the show anymore. But my number 2 game is a game that I played. I was like, you know what? I just got all the in-game achievements that they have in the game, and I was like, I don't think I played it that long. And it turns out I played it like 35 hours, and it is a game called Novaland. And it came out last year, and it is a game about, it's kind of like, there's this game called Forager, and it's like you start off on one little island, top down, and then you move from, you start making and foraging for like different materials, and then you can start making a furnace, and you can make the furnace. Then with that furnace, you can make coal, and then with the coal, you can create other things. Yeah, there it is. Shout out to it. Yeah, you can go ahead, and it's like all about automation. So you are, and they do have boss fights, but you have these little bots that will run around and will fill all the stuff for you, and then they can box them up, and then you can ship them off to a space station, and you sell them. You can pet your dog. Yeah, it's Novalands. And that's my number 2 game, because I was looking at all the games on the system, and I was like, you know what, there's some of these games are like my favorite games of all time, but I didn't originally play them on the Switch. So I tried to pick 3 games that I originally played on the Switch, and that's why I don't have games like Inside on the list, because I played that first on like another system. But but this is one that I originally did play on the Switch, and played a lot of it, and it's a good game. So if you want to go ahead and check that out, it's out now.
I dig that. This game kind of gives me like Factorio vibes from your description, but whenever I actually went to look it up, because I hadn't heard of this one at all. Like this one was not on my radar, but after seeing it, kind of gives me more Stardew vibes in some ways, but like bullet hell. Like I don't know. Like it looks cool. It looks very different. This is a niche surprise pick, but I think this is like one of those weird eShop gems that you'd never like think about until somebody else says, hey, you should check this out. It's like one of the ones that didn't make my list, Mech Extermination Force. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's kind of like Contra in some ways, but it's all boss fights.
Yeah.
Like I really like that game, but I don't think a lot of people have really thought about that game at all. And this kind of lands in that genre for me as well. But like I am interested. I'm liking what I'm seeing. This looks interesting.
Yeah, I like that Mech Extermination. I like that game, but I hated the final boss, so that's why I didn't make my list.
I understand completely. Oh man, Josh, what's your number 2, dude?
All right, so my number 2 is maybe a little more common, I guess, so to speak. But I just had a lot of fun with it. It came out at a really cool time, and I really want to go back and play it. It's been a good while. I will say it is Shovel Knight, but more specifically, because I was going to say the what is it? The full collection. I can't
Treasure
think
Trove.
of the name of it right now. Treasure Trove, but that would be cheating. So I picked one, and I went with Spectre of Torment. So I thought that one was super cool.
I really like the Spectre of Torment expansion too. I think it's really good.
Yeah, now I feel like you should still play the original Shovel Knight, which is now, what is it, Shovel of Hope, before anything else. I just feel like that's how it's sort of meant to be played, and that's part of the charm of the expansions, or whatever you want to call them, is going back through those levels or seeing the story from different angles and things like that. So I still highly recommend starting with that if you haven't played these. But no, this one's sort of a prequel still, all that being said. And the story is really cool. The gameplay itself is really neat with all you can do in that. I like the characters they added, the whole reason behind everything, the music that they added, the ending was super cool. I remember that sort of sticking with me. I don't want to give it all away just in case you haven't played it, but it really scratched exactly what I was looking for, so to speak. The only, I think, if there was one complaint I had with it, is with that collection. I don't remember with the last one. But I beat basically 100% at all of it, except for that one's hard mode. I was not a huge fan of what they did with it, with like a meter. It was like a time limit. I don't know if you played hard mode on that or not. And the hits and stuff take away some of it. I could not get the hang of it. I wasn't a huge fan of what they did with hard mode on that one. Maybe I need to go back and try it. But other than that, the game itself I thought was awesome. Yeah, I think I'm going to keep that as my number 2.
I think it's a worthy pick. Man. My number 2 game is one that I had only beaten somewhat recently, as far as that goes. And by recently, I mean a year and a half ago. So it's still fairly new on the Nintendo Switch. But that my second game on this list is Eastward. Eastward has one of the most charming art styles that I've ever seen in a video game. They really captured that Super Nintendo era graphical style. Kind of gives you Last of Us meets Zelda vibes, meets Earthbound, because and the thing is it has games within the games. It is like an onion, as Donkey and Shrek talk about. There are layers to this game that you will absolutely see, but it has such a love for that era of video gaming, because you've got Dragon Quest style side game, you've got top-down Zelda style game, you've got the writing that is absolutely top-notch and stellar and quirky. You have this gigantic cast of characters that just makes me care about each individual one as you go through it. I really, really liked the connection between John and Sam, which are the two main characters. John, you control. He has a frying pan. Sam, I don't want to spoil too much, but the game's been out since 2021. But Sam, later on in the game, very early on in the game, develops the ability to use psychokinetic powers, where she can shoot beams and stuff out. I'm sorry, I'm spoiling it. I know, I'm the worst. But it is a dungeon crawler at its heart, but the writing in that game made me care about every single one of them in such a way that I did not want to see anyone die. Even the main antagonist of the game, I had sympathy for him, and it is beautiful. There's a lot of other media that's out there. I've got the vinyl for this game because the music is so good. It is one of my go-to video game soundtracks that I listen to often. I genuinely love this game, and I recommend everybody go check it out. It is often on sale as well, but I mean, right now it's not. You can get it in the Octopia DLC that came out later for it, which is more like Stardew meets Eastward, because it is a very different storyline, which I think Super Nintendo, you've played a little bit of that on stream, correct?
Yeah. I played some on stream, then more of it off stream. Yeah,
Yep.
I really like it.
It's good. It's cutesy. It's cozy. It's got good vibes. And if you're a fan of Earthbound's style of writing and narrative and making you care about the characters, you're going to be a fan of this. But you can get it in the DLC for $27.79 right now too. So, but heavily recommend it. Love this game. And that's my number 2 pick.
Number 2 pick. Yes, I really like how the watercolor look to it. The colors.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, I will go. And before I get my number 1, I just want to say, Cody, you can't pick Mario Odyssey or
It's not an indie.
Mario Wonder as an indie. Just because it's 2D doesn't mean it's indie. Okay. But I feel like I'd be lying to not only myself but everyone if I didn't say my number 1 favorite indie game is Atomic Crops. So I will go with Atomic Crops. It is a farming twin stick shooter where you are going ahead during the day. You're pillaging these mutated plants, and they are shooting at you. It's like a bullet hell shooter. You're dodging those, hitting them with your little gun, and then going in. And then at night you need to come back while you're out taking these enemies out. They drop seeds. You need to go back. You might find a cow. You grab that cow, take it back to your farm, and by grab it I just mean tap the button, it'll run back there for you. And then at night you need to protect your crops, and then after the crops are taken, or at the end of the night, you go back to your little hideout, and then there in between days you can upgrade your weapons, upgrade your farming skills and abilities. You can even get married, and if you're lucky enough to build the trust of multiple people, they are just your friends until you find the ability that lets you, love for all, and then you can just marry as many people as you want. But so you start in the spring, then you go spring, summer, fall, winter, and then they have the atomic winter.
I'm feeling like we're in atomic summer, by the way. Just it's so hot.
Oh heavens!
But
yeah.
I'm with you. Atomic winter, man. That sounds crazy.
Yeah. It was 95 today. Not quite a winter at all. Here at least. But yeah, the Atomic Crops is my favorite. And it's got a bunch of DLC, which adds new characters, new new skills, and they really updated it over the years to make it so it's more user friendly, especially if you're having a hard time struggling. There's 10 years that you can go in the game. I've only ever made it to year 6. So then every time you beat a year, you can just go to the next one. But then it gets even more chaotic. And my goal for this year is to beat year 10. So we'll see if that happens. But yeah, Atomic Crops, number 1. Sorry, Dave the Diver.
shout outs to Dave the Diver. Honestly, I'm not surprised by that choice at all. I've watched a lot of Super Nintendo streams, and a lot of them have been Atomic Crops. But it has its own style. I mean, it is a Super NES styled game, and you'll find that with a lot of indies, they go with that pixel art route very often. I don't know why. I think it just may be easier to develop in. Who knows? But it also harkens back to our nostalgia in a lot of ways, and it gets us back into that swing and that vibe of what we yearned for as children. So they prey on our nostalgia as they're marketing to us. But that game, it does kind of give me, like, I don't know why, because it's not this at all, but Zombies Ate My Neighbors vibes from Super Nintendo era. Like it kind of reminds me of that, mixed with a bullet hell, mixed with like farming sim. So like it is interesting. I do recommend people try that one out. I don't even know how much it is. Do you know how much it is off the top of your head, Nintendo? I
believe it's $14.99, but it is on sale quite a bit for like $7.50. Yeah, absolutely.
I'm not surprised at all. Congratulations, Atomic Crops, for gaining Chris Becker's Super Nintendo Award for number one indie. What about you, Josh? How are you feeling, my good sir? What do you got for your number one?
So one thing I did forget to mention real quick when I was talking about honorable mentions, 2 games that I wanted to kind of throw out that are almost indies, but kind of not. Sonic Mania and the Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge are both fantastic games. They're sort of indies. But no, that's not what I picked number one here. If you know me well enough, you know what my number one is already. So I felt no need to change it. No need to surprise you really too much. So it is, of course, Yooka-Laylee and the Impossible Lair, which is also why I didn't have the first Yooka-Laylee on the list. I didn't want them to take up too much. But no, I really love this game. Of course, I love the Donkey Kong Country games, and that's probably what this harkens back to the most, especially the Super Nintendo era of that. So it's got some of the great 2D level design, obviously made by, I believe, some of the people that were on those old teams are included in that, including the composer David Wise does some tracks in this. And also Grant Kirkhope, who's done some Donkey Kong stuff, like Donkey Kong 64, along with some others are in there. It's all good stuff. Along with really good platforming, the world map is like its own little 3D isometric thing, where there's all kinds of puzzles, and I almost want to say like a light Zelda overworld kind of thing, where you can go around and do different puzzles, unlock different things, get to different areas. And I think is really cool. It's sort of its own part of the game. There's those little tonics you can turn on and off to give you, which gives you rewards, or it can make things harder on you. That will give you rewards, or if it makes it easier on you, it'll take some stuff away. Where you can sort of have like the Dixie hair thing almost going on with Laylee. You can just put on some silly filters. You can make things. I forget some of the other ones. It's been a little while. You have like one move or one hit or something like that. There's a good variety of things. Some of them just for fun, some of them to help you or whatever. So there's all kinds of different ways to play through the game. Now, one of the things that makes it a little extra special, and I don't want to say this is the only reason I picked it, because I really do think this is a great game. I honestly believe that. But one thing that does make it extra special is, to make a long story short, my daughter did win a contest before it came out to have one of the battalion members, which the battalion in this game is something you save at basically the end of every level. So you'll find some in the overworld. They help you in the end game, in the Impossible Lair itself. But she had one of the characters named after her. The character's name is Lil Bean. I'm actually going to post the Twitter, or the post on Twitter that I made that sort of won in the comments here, so I'm adding that right now. I had it ready. Gosh, looking back at it though, that was 5 years ago, so that is wild to see. But yeah, she made this little book. Oh, there it is. So she sat down and made this little book here. She even dressed up like a bee while we were camping. So we're actually, I can't think of the name of the place, but we were camping during all this, and I helped her read it. She wanted me on there, so went through all of that. She was one of the winners. There was 5 of them, so she's even in the credits. Her name is actually in the credits with the others, so that's super cool. So that definitely adds a whole lot to it for me, even if it's just something kind of little, but definitely makes it just all that more special. So really, no doubt, I had to add this as my number one for a multitude of reasons.
Absolutely. Listen, you got 2 writers in the family, so we need to get that one published. It'd be good. This is adorable.
I've got it put up on my bookshelf in here. Yep.
This is adorable. I don't blame you. I think that means a whole lot especially having your daughter featured in the game. Like that is a big reason to count that in as your number one, and I don't blame you. I do not blame you at all. Oh man, this is adorable, guys.
This
Go
game
follow.
is on sale an awful lot too, by the way. So
Oh, it is.
go check that out. It's been on some good. I can't remember if it is now or not, but I know it was on a really good one recently. So it definitely deserves to be checked out, especially if you're a 2D platformer fan.
Absolutely. Well, before I dive into my number one, I do have 3 honorable mentions that did not make my list that I wanted to give a quick shout out to as well. The first one being A Short Hike. For the Nintendo Switch. You
that
can
is a
play
good
this in a lot of different places. I love this game. It's a good little cozy, like you running around, exploring the mountains. Ian Tenderly is a friend of the show and a streamer as well. If you guys aren't following her, you should be. But I recommended that to her solid for 5 weeks, and she finally played it, and it was adorable and amazing, and just such a good game. If you want something that has Animal Crossing vibes with objectives, like it is that very much in the way that like it's explorative, less so linear than anything, and it has a lot of cool little animal creatures with some quirks that you can go and talk to. I do recommend A Short Hike. Another game that I wanted to put on my list that I didn't, Celeste. I 100%ed Celeste. I love that game. I did both the A sides and the B sides. Love that game. It is a punishing, hard as nails platformer, and I do want to give a shout out to all the speedrunners and everything. I've seen this game get speedran so many times. GDQ just ended. It really solidified my love for that. Maddie Makes Games is the developer of Celeste. And she's done quite a few different things in the Super Mario modding community as well, doing ROM hacks. But Celeste, it's a top tier game that's on here. And then I'm wearing the shirt. It didn't make my list, but it's Hollow Knight, and I wanted to make sure that I shouted out Hollow Knight. I do love Hollow Knight. It is the predecessor to the fabled sequel that will never come out, Silk Song. But if you want a very, very atmospheric game, Hollow Knight captures the atmosphere. I think we've had discussions on whether or not, over on my channel, on whether or not it is a good Metroidvania. I think the consensus is that it's not a great Metroidvania, but it's still a good atmospheric experience video game. And then I do also want to shout out my actual number one. And that is Sea of Stars. And you'll kind of notice a little bit of a theme here. All of my games that I've selected are games that make me feel something. So from Cave Story and the writing in that to Eastward and the writing in that and Sea of Stars and the writing in this game, there's a lot of people who I think lambasted Sea of Stars for its just outright plagiarism of Super Mario RPG's game mechanics. But there's a lot more people who really want to support this game. It is a retro-inspired turn-based RPG, as it says it's in its own tagline. The soundtrack is phenomenal. The writing in it is just amazing and adorable. You play as Zale and his sister, which I've suddenly forgotten her name all of a sudden. What is her name?
They're siblings?
Yeah, well, kind of. Not really siblings. They're both Solstice twins. Sorry, no.
I'm in the middle of this game, by the way.
I didn't spoil anything. I apologize, but they're two children of the Solstice. But the game's gameplay loop is really, really good. From the way that you battle. I mean, you've got all of these like timed attacks where it is a more interactive RPG experience. You get to explore this gigantic world. You have this cool overworld map. You've got this long cast of characters that are just downright funny. But the absolute star of the show for me is Garl, and I think a lot of people can agree that Garl is best boy in that game. But I love Sea of Stars, and I encourage anybody to give this game a try and support this dev team, Sabotage. They've done games like The Messenger in the past as well, if you're familiar with The Messenger, which is like the Ninja Gaiden kind of like experience. This is a very big derailment from that style of gameplay, but it is still very much a game that is set in that same universe as well. They interact storyline, and some of the characters make appearances and cameos in each other's game. Please check this game out. Sea of Stars, it came out the year that Tears of the Kingdom did. And it would have been my game of the year if Tears of the Kingdom had not come out and kind of proved itself for what it was. I would have said Sea of Stars would have been my game of the year that year. And again, I heavily recommend everybody check that out. That is my number one. I do want to shout out a couple of ones from the community. I posted in the Facebook group and over in the Discord. And Mrs. Nerdwire in the chat, my wife, Courtney Quinn Christian. Binding of Isaac is her favorite indie game that's on there. It's a bullet hell style game. It's been around for ages on every platform imaginable. Go check that one out. Stephen Gabbard over on the Facebook group also says he really enjoyed Yooka-Laylee and the Impossible Lair. Hey, you're a twin.
Hey,
You're a twin, Josh.
I didn't see that yet.
And also honorable mention to Arzette and the Jewel of Faramore. Zach Runyon says Hollow Knight, played through it multiple times. The art is simple yet distinct. The music, mobility, combat, charm system, perfection. The only criticism is that the sequel, Silk Song, still hasn't released.
Doesn't exist.
Drew Blanton says probably Crosscode, parkour action RPG, or Golf Story. Michelle Coop, friend of the show for a long time, says, dang it, there's so many great ones. Does it have to be Switch exclusive? Answering with the assumption of no, I'd say Hades. It set the standard for its genre, and even after beating it, encourages additional runs. Plus, the art design and music were incredible. For a team of only 10 to 20 during that time, it is so polished. And then we've also got Brian Green saying Untitled Goose Game, which is a good, just chaotic, fun time.
I like it.
That I would also say is a good one. From the Discord, I Am Tenderly. Shout out to I Am Tenderly out there in the chat. The quickest coming to mind is a little to the left. It is a puzzle game with cats. No surprise if you know Tenderly. And then Nolan in the live chat here as well. The one he has played the most is either Hades or Into the Breach, but there's also great ones like Unpacking and Summer. And Neon White, which I love me some Neon White. It is a speedrun game by far. You're doing Rainbow Hell. Like it is interesting. Like if you haven't tried it, heavily recommend it. He also adds Baba Is You, which I mentioned at the beginning. My apologies. Sumer, not Summer. I just read that wrong. Baba Is You, Return of the Obra Dinn, Lorelei and the Laser Eyes, and Murder by Numbers. Basically, we've asked an impossible question when I said, hey, what's your favorite? So shout outs to the community. Thank you guys for engaging with us. If you're not over in the Facebook group, please feel free to join over there. And if you're not hanging out in the Discord, please feel free to jump into there as well, so we can keep the conversation going with myself, Josh, and Chris. But without any further ado, we need to start wrapping up the show with the last segment, which is Extra Nintendo News. See you right after this jump. And Chris, not just Cody and Josh. I will get that updated. I apologize, Chris. You'll get thrown into there.
Oh no! All
No, I'm the worst. I'm the worst.
right.
But we have some pretty heavy Nintendo news this week that is specifically Nintendo exclusive news. Nintendo out of replacement parts for the Wii U and has canceled all repairs for the Wii U in Japan. They posted notice on their Twitter saying notice regarding the planned end of repairs for Wii U console and peripherals. You can visit their website as well, but they are ending any future repairs for the Wii U if you are one of the 15,000 people who bought one. But I've still got my Wii U. I still boot it up from time to time. I mean, I've got it hooked up right here beside me right now. I'm trying to make sure this sucker doesn't die, because if you leave it off a power source for too long, it will brick itself, and then you got to do this long process to try to get it back alive. But Josh, do you have your Wii U? Have you taken it out of the box in a while?
Oh yeah. It's still mostly set up. I can't say I've booted it up very much lately. But there are some reasons to go back. They make less and less of them, I guess, the more they port things to Switch. But there's still some reasons there. I can't deny that I had some good times with it. So, hopefully it doesn't die.
Okay, we'll keep it alive. We'll figure it out. We'll repair them ourselves somehow. What about you, Chris? Are you booting up your Wii U anytime soon?
I try to boot it up every once in a while. Zombie U,
Shout out
best
Zombie
version
U.
of it. Shout out to it. Yeah, great launch title.
Better than Luigi's
better
Mansion
than
1?
Luigi's Mansion 1. Yeah, sorry, Nolan. And Nintendo. Yeah, the Wii U. Something about because I was always a handheld gamer, so the fact that I could play the Wii U. Nolan has no affinity for Luigi's Mansion 1. Great, thank you. Finally, someone, get him on the show. But I love handheld games, and, I don't need to worry about sharing the TV when I can play it right on the screen. I think my worst nemesis on the Wii U was probably games that required both screens. Because, it was devastating, there weren't that many, but, Lego, what is it, Undercover City or whatever
Lego
it was.
City Undercover, the best GTA for children.
Yeah, I remember, well, I mean,
you could play regular GTA if you're a child, you shouldn't.
Yeah, tell that to my son.
Oh, no.
But yeah, I still bust it out every once in a while, and to play some of the Virtual Console games that I have on there. Yeah.
Shout out to
And
Virtual
of course-
Console.
And Zombie U.
And Zombie U. Shout out to Zombie U.
DuckTales remastered, Star Fox Zero. I love that game. I don't care what anybody else
I've
does.
got DuckTales remastered everywhere, but I don't have my Star Fox.
I have it on Wii U.
By the way, I got to thinking, and we talked about this. I don't want to go too long on this, but we talked about this a couple of weeks ago with Wii U Wii U games that deserve a port. And I'd mentioned Nintendo Land wishing that it could get a port, and I racked my brain, how could they do that with the 2-screen experience that's on there? I have the perfect idea. You guys have played Clubhouse Games 51, right?
Yeah, of course.
Yes.
Okay,
My wife has
so
it.
they had the free pass where you could download a pass to be able to get in to play Clubhouse Games with a friend, even if you didn't own it. Why don't they just put a free download on there to where if one person buys Nintendo Land, you could get a ticket to Nintendo Land by downloading this, join players. As long as you have 4 Switches, you could get away without having to have the dual screen experience. You could do it and play it online, make it an online game. I would be 100% down for that. But anyway, that's my pitch. Nintendo, take it, please.
Hear me out.
Uh-huh.
What if the little Joy-Con holder for the Switch 2, Nintendo likes their crazy ideas. What if it's a screen?
Absolutely.
And so then you have 2 screens whenever you have the system plugged in and you have the other screen.
I'd spend $100 on it. Bring it on.
Yeah.
Man.
They're already going to spend $70 on all the games,
Speaking of putting games to systems that don't exist anymore, we're going to be going into the next news segment here. Dougie B, our friend Doug Bowser, president of Nintendo of America. There was a post that was put on LinkedIn in which a user exposed that Walmart acts as an intermediary seller of seller, not sailor, intermediary. I can't words tonight. Of hacked ROMs of Nintendo games. President Nintendo of America Doug Bowser responds with "Thank you for making it visible." More specifically, the post was this: "I can't help but wonder if the legal team at Nintendo is aware of this." Tags Nintendo at Doug Bowser. It could do real damage to our beloved Mario. Only $21.45 US. And this is Shotgun Mario 64 and 64 ROM hack expansion being sold on Walmart.com. To which Doug comments, Doug himself, appreciate the visibility. Thumbs up emoji. I can only interpret this one way, but the other way that I want to interpret this is that thumbs up emoji means thank you for helping us advertise our Nintendo games through Walmart.com, even though they're not advertising the real one. But the real way is thank you for telling me we are filing our lawsuit now. So
Yes. Someone at Walmart's not dead.
yep, there goes the Nintendo ninjas. Oh man, but if you haven't played Shotgun Mario 64, please give it a shot. Who knows,
Played Mario and GoldenEye. Played that.
It's close enough. That's close enough.
Yeah.
Then we go into another Nintendo news segment here. Don't worry, Nintendo likely won't utilize generative AI in its game development. This is posted on Nintendo Life. The very first original article said, Nintendo, during the company's recent annual shareholder meeting, President Shuntaro Furukawa says, in the games industry, AI-like technology has long been used to control enemy character movements, so game development and AI technology have always been closely related. Generative AI, which has been a hot topic in recent years, can be more creative, but we also recognize that it has issues with IP rights and intellectual property rights. We've had decades of know-how in creating optimal gaming experiences for our customers, and while we remain flexible in responding to technological developments, we hope to continue to deliver value that's unique to us and cannot be achieved through technology alone. To which, here's the thing. I do a lot of artwork. I do a lot of artwork on the side, sometimes for money. AI does not bother me because there are nuances that AI is not able to get to just yet in its current models to be able to beat me in the creativity and the realism and the non-error and the fact that I can draw a hand with 5 fingers instead of 6. It's not going to beat me. But I'm not worried about generative AI being used in game development as long as it does not come with more layoffs within the industry. And that's where I'm at with it, is use it as the tool, not as the solution. Build on what you are doing. But as an artist, I'm not threatened by generative AI. I think it has its applications and can be used well if used well, and not for damaging the ecosystem of video game developers. But I'll throw it over to Josh or Chris. You guys have thoughts?
I think it's a very complicated topic, and it's kind of controversial, especially at this point, especially if you unfortunately spend as much time on Twitter as I have. Sometimes, I mean, I don't know, I'm not going to get into all that. I feel like you could talk about this for almost an entire episode.
Yep.
Yeah, to really get in the weeds with it. I'm glad that they're not relying on that too heavy, personally, because I do think that having that personal touch is the most important side of that, especially considering all this is art. Yeah, I think this is mostly good news. I don't know. That's about all I can really add for right now without getting real deep into it, I guess.
I'm with you. What about you, Chris? Any additional thoughts you want to add?
No additional thoughts other than Speed Tree. We got Speed Tree.
Speed Tree.
Yeah. I don't really. I haven't really looked into all of this. I just see people arguing about it. I don't really know about it, but yeah. But at the same time, people will post things and be like, "Oh, look, AI created this,"
right?
And like, look, AI created this movie. I do not think any of those look that great.
No,
especially if Nintendo plans on making a game with gymnasts in them. Apparently that doesn't work very well.
Honestly, here's the thing is like, and why it doesn't work well. And we talked about this during the pre-show, but Adam Conover from Adam Ruins Everything, there's opinions on him out there that are in the wild and on the internet, but many of you guys know him for his truth dispelling stuff that he's got out there. He has said that like the AI models are running out of human-made material to build on the model for. So the advancement of that, they're microwaving dollars all the time right now, trying to keep building these, and they're losing millions of dollars as far as that goes, trying to build these AI models, and they're almost ready to run out of the media that it takes to be able to make this any better until there is more man-made media to feed it. And I know we are in a creation heavy, on the internet heavy. There's a lot of stuff being created every day, but how much of it is new and how much of it is going to advance AI? Who knows? What I will say is, Nolan in the live chat says, this is Adam from Metroid Fusion Erasure. So, let's get those AIs out of here. Let's get them out. But all that being said, I'm not threatened by it. I think it's a fine tool if used appropriately. And then the final note here from for Nintendo, Nintendo's plan to beat the scalpers to just make too many Nintendo Switch 2s, or whatever the successor to the Nintendo Switch is going to be called. They plan to produce enough Switch 2 units to meet high consumer demand and prevent scalping. The global semiconductor shortage that limited production back in the day on Xbox Series X's and on PlayStation 5s has been resolved, and they're some more rumors on here. Switch 2 have advanced features, including 8-inch LCD screen and powerful NVIDIA chip. This coming from Techopedia. But that's their plan. That is their plan to beat the scalpers. I, for one, am excited that I may actually have a chance to get, to be able to get a Nintendo Switch 2. So how do you guys feel? Are you excited to hopefully not have to fight people tooth and nail to be able to get one? Or, were you going to be getting one day one anyway? Who knows?
I mean, I'm going to be getting one day one regardless, but anyway, these people can beat these scalpers because they're in every piece of merchandise and thing out there. Because I'm a Nintendo fan, I'm a Disney fan. People fight over freaking popcorn buckets and stand in line for 3 hours so they can take home 20 of them and sell them on eBay. Like, it's rampant everywhere. And if there's any way to help beat that, I'm all for it. Yeah, there you go.
Absolutely. Well, that does lead us into... Oh, sorry. Chris, did you have something to add? I'm sorry.
Oh, please, no. I'm just down here in the corner. I will say
We need to get you something set up to where we can, have you big as Josh and myself.
Yeah. Hey. Hold on. Hey. For anyone, all the audio listeners, he's trying to squish my head with his finger. But the Nintendo Switch, I think what Nintendo needs to do is work out whatever sort of disagreement they're having with Amazon, because they don't have any of their new first party games on there, and
same issue with Walmart.
Be a pain having to go to a brick and mortar store to get my Nintendo Switch.
That is true. I may be camping out. Who knows? I'll have to talk to the wife whenever that happens. I may be camping out for one. So
meet at Nintendo World.
Yep,
yeah,
there we go.
In New York.
There we go. Nintendo New York. I'm guaranteed to get one, right? Let's just both go. We'll both go.
Let's go right now. We'll just wait.
We'll just drive and just start camping today
until next holiday. Yeah, we'll just wait.
We'll bring Nolan with us as well, so it'll be a good time. Yeah. Oh man, but that does bring us to the Super Nintendo new games segment right after this jump. Thank you for tuning in. Super Nintendo, take it away.
Boom, 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 boom. Okay, so before we get into this, I want to just say that for the next 5 days, Atomic Crops is $3.74, and Yooka-Laylee, what's the subtitle?
Impossible Lair?
The Impossible Lair.
Or Yooka-Replayly.
Yeah, no, please have it so. it is $2.99 and then the $3.99 for the original. Well, the original is only on sale for one more day. The other one, the 2D one, is on sale. The good one is on sale for 14 days. So
go buy Impossible Lair, you cheapskates. I mean, go buy it. You should play it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And okay. So, but the upcoming games, we're almost there. But I forgot to mention another one of my favorites is Wilmot's Warehouse. It is a very simple looking game. It is just a little square named Wilmot, and he goes around, sorts things, and then picks people's orders. It's very simplistic looking. Another $14.99 game, but Nintendo went ahead and speaking of simplistic looking things, Nintendo released a bunch of NES games, including Urban Champion, Golf, Donkey Kong Jr. Math, Mach Rider, The Mystery of Atlantis, Solar, Jetman, and Cobra Triangle. They are all included with the Nintendo Switch Online subscription. You don't need the expansion pack to play them. You can go ahead and download them. Golf was quite... I played a lot of golf with my dad. I like some of the music in Mach Rider, and I still think Mach Rider, the main character, should be in Smash, but that's for another time. That's true.
Whole thing.
We can only hope. Nintendo Switch Sports, they, you know what? They were like, hey, we didn't forget about this
Whoops.
game What?
I accidentally clicked off on our screen because I was on. Never mind. Just continue. I'm sorry.
All I heard was whoa. But yeah, the Nintendo Switch Sports basketball update is out now. Maybe about a year ago, maybe even a year and a half ago, I can't remember. But basketball and dodgeball were both in the data mine that someone had, and they now have basketball out. What was it? 2 weeks ago at the Nintendo Direct, they were like, coming this summer, and then it's like 2 weeks later, they're like, it's out tomorrow, and so it's out now. One thing I'm surprised they didn't do was release any of the NSO icons with it, so those might be coming on Thursday. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, the basketball, I played a match of it during the pre-show, and it's enjoyable enough. I might play it again with some friends and then never play the game again until they bring dodgeball. And then on July 11th, we have Ace Combat 7 Skies Unknown Deluxe Edition, which includes all of the DLC from the game when it came out on Xbox One, I want to say. But this game they announced it in January. They have a website of it on the Nintendo of Europe webpage. They have an eShop page on the eShop if you go on, check on the Japanese side. But it's not up yet on the US eShop. But I believe some other Namco games didn't have a store page until noon when it went live. But that will probably be what, $39.99.
Yeah, that is the estimate from the 6490. If you do just like a full on conversion on it, it's like $41.19. But I would say for the American dollar, I mean, it's going to be $39.99 American.
Yeah. And then we've got not this week, but was it Tuesday? Monday, we have The Darkest Dungeon 2, which is $39.99. They also have a deluxe edition, but that is also out on Monday, July 15th. I played this while it was in early access. It was a little hard to play with a controller, but they added controller support, which is what is going to be here. It's coming to Switch, PlayStation, Xbox.
Pretty much every platform that you can imagine. I would imagine PC as well, if it's not already out.
Yeah, it's already on PC.
Yep.
We don't know yet if it's coming to Amazon Luna. Maybe Josh knows. But
the Epic Games Store, maybe your Ouya that nobody talks about, or the Ouya, however you want to pronounce that.
Yeah. They're going to bring Stadia back.
Yeah, just reviving it for Darkest Dungeon 2.
Yeah. But yeah, this is another roguelike game where you're going through, you got the dungeon. Recently they had the first game on NSO, was like the free game to play with an NSO subscription. And this one, you're like more on like a horse and buggy and going from town to town as opposed to just being in one town, and then going down into the dungeon over and over again. This one, it's like you're on the horse, you're going through, but you're still dealing with the relationships that the characters form together, the permadeath that they have. They can go crazy, they can go get sick, they can go. There's a lot going on with the Darkest Dungeon 2, and it is definitely a game I played a lot on Steam Deck, and I requested a code on Switch. If they don't send me a code, then it's dead to me. But the Darkest Dungeon 2.
Shout out Darkest Dungeon 2. You better send him a code right now, or you're dead. You're dead. Send the Super Nintendo ninjas over there. So, oh man, I'm excited for it. There is DLC available for it too. There are two different versions that are on here: Oblivion Edition and Standard Edition. So, If you want to check it out, it's on sale right now. It looks really, really cool. You can play the first one. I think it's still actually on sale as well for a cheaper price too. So, very cool. Very cool. Well, that brings us into Histowee. No changes on Histowee in the way that we're formatting this right now, but there will be changes coming soon. So, without any further ado, let's jump over to Histowee. Welcome to the part of the show that we like to call Histowee. In this segment, my co-host Josh and mind you, Super Nintendo is here. He is my Vanna White on this show today.
I got my heels on.
You do.
And ready.
Put those heels on. Put those heels on, baby boy. But in this segment, my co-host Josh must try to guess a game that was released within the past week, but years ago, based on trivia, a screenshot, and a random sound. /song. Okay? Josh, as my resident nostalgia nerd, do you feel like you have what it takes to guess that game?
Yeah, let's get it done. I'm not too worried about this one.
Okay, well, we'll find out. Audience, I'll ask if you're watching live, please make sure you put your guesses in the live chat. Josh is not allowed to look there. If he does, Super Nintendo will show up and send his Super Nintendo ninjas to stab his eyeballs out. But
Just one, and then I'll look like what's his face from Sea of Stars.
There we go.
Carl.
Oh no. But that being said, if you are watching this later on YouTube, please feel free to put in your guesses in the comment. And the person who gets it will, Super Nintendo will send you one Pizza Hot Pocket to the person who gets it. So,
True. I'm going to take a bite first, but you'll get the rest.
Thank you, Ben.
Not sending
Thank you.
anyone free Chick-fil-A, so don't even ask.
Oh man. Well, listen, without any
my.
further ado, we're going to get clue number 1 up on the board. July 8th, 2009 saw the first and only game in this series to release in North America. The star of the show is referred to as the franchise killer.
Josh is looking like he's struggling, but he might know, or he's just really got to go to the bathroom.
I'm also kind of blind, and it's really small, and I'm trying to read.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, I'll read it again for you. July 8th, 2009 saw the first and only game in this series to release in North America. This star of the show is referred to as the franchise killer.
Okay.
Now, Josh, I am sending you clue number 2 here. I didn't crop it correctly, okay? I forgot to crop it correctly, so you're getting the full thing that I normally put on the show. But for the audience at home, clue number 2 going on the board. Can you describe for the people what you're seeing, Joshua?
Yeah, it looks like a icy piece of land. It's sort of flat. Just looks like, I don't know, like any platforming sort of level. I don't know if that's what kind of game it is. But it's basically floating on what looks to be some water, maybe the ocean. It looks like an icy, or maybe crystal-y kind of cavern-y place. Looks to be sort of like a 16-bit look, I'd say.
Okay. We're going to pull down the theme song right now so that way you guys can hear the actual clue number 3 coming at you here live. And I'm sending the clue to Josh at home as soon as I find it here. Here you go, my good sir. Do you have any guesses?
Star of the show. Here's the franchise killer. That's really got me thrown off.
Listen, I'm not the host. I'll give you a hint if you want.
Can I ask Cody or whomever, if you? I don't know if I can ask this. The only one in North America, is that still to this day?
Yep, still to this day, there
Okay.
has not been another game released in the last, since 2009 years.
It's 2009 years.
Since 2009.
No.
But anywhere. So not even in Japan.
I do not believe so.
I mean,
let me do
the-
a fact check real quick before I say that.
I was hoping you'd accidentally say what you were Googling out loud. But
Oh no, never,
No,
never. I'm better than that. Come on, my gosh.
I don't think I have any
Yeah, there
idea
has
on that
not
first
been
part.
there has not been another game released since.
The screenshot, I really want to say looks fairly familiar.
You might say it looks like a DS game.
Yeah, that's actually what I was thinking, and it including especially the time period. What? I don't think I know. It almost looks like a Kirby game or something, but I know it's not. Shoot, I hate to give up that quick, but I don't know on this one. I'm listening to the music as we speak here too, but
Yeah.
I don't
Even the
believe it's one I
music
played.
sounds Kirby-y.
Yeah, it doesn't sound that off from that. It makes me. I feel like I'm gonna be mad when I find this out because I feel like it's something I've heard of or maybe have tried at some point, but it's just not coming to me. I'm staring at the screenshot, and listening to the music, which is not clicking.
You might have collected the spirit in Smash Brothers.
Probably have. I've got all the spirits in Smash, so I've got it in there somewhere, whatever it is.
All right.
Unless
We're
there's
gonna
any more
ask you for
hints,
your
I think
final.
that.
We're gonna ask you for
I
your
think I
final
got it.
answer. What do you think? What do you want to guess?
Let's see. Considering the iceberg, nighttime sky, I'm gonna say Titanic and Starlight Zone. I have no idea.
Titanic and Starlight Zone. You know one thing that I did forget to do today? I will tell you what the one thing I forgot to do today was. And that was get the trailer for this game. So I'm going to pull up the trailer right now via the tubes on YouTube. We're going to go over to this really quickly, and then I'm going to reveal it for the people at home. This is a game known as the legendary Starfy. For
You
the
know what?
Nintendo
I thought
DS.
of Fling Smash. I thought of Fling Smash at one point, but I was like, no, that doesn't make sense.
This was
Okay.
a
I've heard of
DS
this.
game. This was a DS game that released. What's really cool about it is a lot of people made some allusions toward it being very similar to Kirby games. And that's why it got lamented as much as it did by a lot of critics. Unfortunately, Starfy did die after this game. There were no further games. This was the only one that was brought to America, and that is what killed it. Was putting it in America. No, I'm kidding. That's not what killed it. But known for its adorable
America
pixel
killed
art
Starfy.
style here on the Nintendo DS, it is.
Looks cute. You know.
It's a standout. Like, Chris, do you have any opinions or memories of the legendary Starfy?
Outside of playing it, I don't really. I mean, it feels a bit like Kirby. I can see why they wouldn't go back to it since it is so similar with Kirby, and they would rather just that. But yeah, it did. It kind of reminded me almost because like he even Starfy. I can't remember if Starfy's a boy or a girl, but Starfy even like gets power ups almost like Kid Chameleon or Kirby. But
Look like Shanti
is.
a little bit too.
yeah, a little Shanti action.
Mhm.
But yeah, there's not really much like you showed the text about it, the franchise killer, and I knew it was Starfy, but before that I hadn't thought about Starfy in years
Since
probably.
2009, when it
Yeah.
originally launched.
Unless I
Smash
saw the
Brothers.
spirit in Smash, maybe then that would be about it.
Absolutely.
But, yeah.
It is absolutely an experience. I do recommend it. Legendary Starfy is a really good game. I don't know why it got reviewed as poorly as it did. I mean, reception was mixed at the time of its launch, and a lot of that had to do with the Kirby allusions that they made there. But I still think it's a good game, and it's right, and it's a cute game, and you play as a star, and that was the star of the show, and it was considered the franchise killer. So there's the hint.
I knew
but-
there was a hint in there somewhere, but I kept looking at killer.
Oh
But,
no! Oh no! But no Josh points awarded to you, my good sir. You do not get any more points this week, and then we're gonna have to try
America
again in a
killed
couple
you,
weeks.
Starfy.
Because Josh didn't get any points in 2024. But that does wrap up this episode of the Nintendo Rewind. Josh, where can the people find you?
Right here. No. Mostly online. It is, for whatever reason, it's still on Twitter/X at Whopper744 Games. Right now, I'm also on Threads. Most places, I'm Whopper744. Be it on Instagram, Threads. Where else am I? I'm in the Facebook group that we've got for Nintendo Rewind, on Discord, all that good stuff. So, yeah, Whopper744 in most places.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And what about you, Chris?
You can find me pretty much everywhere as Super Nintendo. Just, playing Nintendo games, playing other games. Out here living. I'm about to play through Final Fantasy IV, the 3DS version.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Or the DS version, but I'm playing the Steam version of the DS version because they ported the DS version of 3 and 4 to Steam. So
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Or the or the Steam version of the DS version of the SNES game.
yes, exactly.
Okay.
This is the book of the movie, of the game, of the television show, of the graphic novelization of Final Fantasy IV. For myself, you can find me at Nerdwire Plays pretty much everywhere. Threads is where I mostly consistently post, but I'm live on Twitch just about nightly here on Twitch at twitch.tv/Nerdwire Plays. Of course, you can visit our link trees or respective websites in there. A new thing to tell you guys about, which it's still under construction, NintendoRewind.com is where you can get all of our stuff, links to our social pages, and everything else like that. But a couple of things here. You can catch all of our past episodes starting today, most all of our past episodes, in video form over at YouTube, at youtube.com/@the-Nintendo-Rewind right now. Visit our site for all of our social media pages at NintendoRewind.com and join our Facebook group over at facebook.com/groups/Nintendo Rewind. Thank you guys so much for watching. Remember, you can catch us live every week right here, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Tuesdays at twitch.tv/Nintendo Rewind. Thank you so much to my co-hosts Josh and Chris for joining me for another episode of The Rewind. We'll catch you guys on the flip side. Peace.
Is when I see you.
Ah.